We love seeing all your comments in the chat. We're so glad on YouTube that we'll be able to get together, even if we can't do it face-to-face, at least we can do it virtually. Today is gonna stretch us a little bit as a division and as individuals. And so we're just glad that we could come together. We'll have several different things that are gonna happen today. Some of them will be live and some of them will be recorded. And we hope to have everything wrapped up by between 11 and 11:15. So I'm gonna wait one more minute and then I'm gonna show the welcome video. Session. This will be some information about the kickoff. We're so welcome to the summer session. This will be some information about the kickoff. We're so glad that you could join us. Today's session, there will be a mandatory portion from 10 to 11:15 for all staff members. Dr. Jones is going to welcome us and give us a little bit of a division update. We'll have a teacher panel with live Q&A to follow. Then we'll also have an introduction to professional learn from our instructional and HR department. Following this time, we will have afternoon sessions that start at noon, 1, and 2 p.m. These sessions will be taught by PCPS staff. They will be held in Zoom, and you'll be able to get the link from Professional Learn once you sign up, and we'll be teaching you how to do that today. Sessions will run for about 45 to 50 minutes. All choice sessions will be run in the same format as the afternoon sessions listed below. So let me tell you a little bit about the summer. We are going to have a summer schedule, which we will be holding sessions on June 16th today, on June 23rd, August 5th, and August 12th. There'll be 4 things that you have to do that are mandatory this summer. One is a session on distance learning, a session on SEL, choosing one choice session out of the 25 offerings by your colleagues. And then, of course, we always have bloodborne pathogens. If you would like to get more PD points, or you just feel like learning some more, you may choose to attend as many choice sessions as you wish. We hope you have a great day, and we can't wait to share what we've learned with you. Okay, and now I'd like to introduce Dr. Jones. He is going to give us our welcome for the day. Go ahead, Dr. Jones.
Thank you, Maury, and good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to address you today as we kick off our summer professional development series for 2020. To say that this year's PD will look different is an understatement, but we are really excited about this program. And we know that as educators, one of the things that we do best is adapt and adjust. Before we begin, I'd like to look back at the end of this past school year and once again thank everyone for your tireless work to continue educating our students under very extreme conditions. While there are many challenges, I believe that we grew as an organization. We are better at personalizing instruction for students, which is the first goal in our strategic plan. as well as investing in our community, which is the third goal in our plan. As we look forward to next school year, it's going to be imperative to focus on the fourth goal in our plan, culture and well-being. The social and emotional well-being of our students and staff will be a primary focus of our professional development in the coming months. All of our plans for reopening schools and the options we will provide students and staff are predicated on ensuring that SEL are being reinforced and explicitly practiced, and that everyone's well-being is observed and fostered. The trauma of COVID closures, isolation, and economic stress cannot be underestimated. Another source of trauma for many students and community members are local and national events surrounding the homicides of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Ahmaud Arbery. The ongoing protests and resulting calls for systemic change in our society will leave many students and staff wounded, confused, and scared. We must be there to support them, and that will require training, which our Equity and Diversity Committee will facilitate. Further, we must examine our own actions, practices, and policies. We have emphasized improving equity and diversity, as well as eliminating opportunity gaps for many years, but we still have work to do. The school board will continue that journey tonight at their meeting by considering an anti-racism resolution. We will continue it together in the coming months through honest conversations, careful self-examination, and a thorough review of our system. Finally, I know that an overriding concern for everyone is what next year will look like. I don't have the answers, but I assure you that we have been planning for countless scenarios for many weeks, and we'll continue to do that with input from you as well as our community. We will push to make sure that options available to students and staff are flexible, personalized, and created to fit Powhatan. That includes having as much face-to-face instruction as we are able to do while maintaining a safe learning environment, as well as ongoing distance learning options for students and staff. A large task force has been formed and will meet next week to continue that work with the goal of having plans ready for dissemination by the end of July. I look forward to continuing to grow and evolve together to meet the challenges before us. Powhatan County Public Schools has always excelled and will continue to do so with the support of our community and the talent, skill, and dedication that each of you demonstrate daily. I am honored to serve you and look forward to a great summer of learning and growth, as well as an exciting and productive 2020-2021 school year. Thank you and have a great day of learning. Maury, I assume that's back to you.
Yep, and we'll be having a video showing in just a second. We had a little black screen there for our transition, which is going a little longer than expected. We asked teachers to answer several questions created by the instructional team and admins, and they're going to have a video of their compilations of those answers. But then what we're also going to do is allow the staff members, while you all are watching on YouTube, they were opening up the comments section. And so after the video has been played, then I will go ahead and relay the questions to the panelists who are currently on Zoom, and we'll be able to continue the conversation that way. So please feel free as you are watching to start adding comments or questions in that you think would be helpful to continue our discussion on distance learning and how to move forward in this era of COVID.
What strategies did you utilize during distance learning that you will continue to implement? I used podcasts during distance learning. At first, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I played around with it, and it was actually pretty cool. I did that to discuss new topics and ideas that the students were being introduced to in civics. I did it with all my economics lessons. I even did like a budget podcast, and I had a lot of fun with it. A lot of the parents and stuff too sent me messages and said, "Hey, I've been listening to your podcast with my son or with my daughter, and I really have enjoyed listening to them." I even had a few students message me when I didn't do a podcast for a particular week, and they said, like, "What the heck's going on? Could you please do a podcast next week?" And so it was really cool to see that engagement.
One strategy that I've used that I plan to implement when we're back in the classroom together is the use of choice boards. I was inspired to create choice boards for my reading intervention and English classes by my teammates and colleagues. The choice boards really just fitted naturally with my teaching style. I like to offer the students options in the classroom, and the choice boards were just a perfect fit.
And what I would like to continue doing in my class, Dr. Jones really may not agree with me on this, but the 7-day-a-week wearing of athleisure was great. What's not to love about stretchy clothes and tennis shoes? I say we adopt it as a school uniform.
What were your struggles during distance learning, and how did you overcome them?
What I struggled the most with during distance learning was separating my work time from my personal time and ensuring that I have a clear line that distinguishes the two. I really had a difficult time with putting my computer down and my phone down and walking away from it. So just the understanding that it was okay for me to not answer that email right away or not grade assignments as soon as they came into Seesaw was something that I really battled with for a long time during this distance learning.
Where did you go to find your resources and ideas for distance learning?
Distance learning wasn't something our division was just having to contend with, or the state of Virginia. It was something that our nation was plagued with for 12, 13 weeks. That was probably the greatest benefit to the distance learning. Resources became available to teachers at little or no cost, and we were able to engage students using applications we'd not been able to execute in the classroom before. We found ways to reach and engage and differentiate that were outside our normal toolkit.
When looking for resources to help my students succeed, I ask my coworkers lots of questions. What's working? What's not working? What kinds of new things are they trying? And through that dialogue, we were able to come up with some new ideas and try different things. So my collaboration has been virtual, but I'm still collaborating with the great people that I work with in the building every day.
What methods did you use to build relationships and engage with students and families?
I did a lot of little things. I sent some birthday shout outs as Schoology updates. I had an assignment called the COVID check-in that asked for feedback like, what's your biggest struggle with distance learning, that uses a simile or a metaphor. Describe a typical day of quarantine with as much imagery as possible. I used some Likert scales about mental status. I had one kid score low enough, I called the parent, and I did have some other low numbers, and those were the kids that I kind of emailed a little bit more often.
I use the methods of communication. I reached out through email. I reached out through phone calls. I monitored who was turning things in. I was able to walk some students who were struggling with instructions, who were struggling with confidence in the work they were turning in. Actually, I walked through a lot of the requests or lessons or homework, walked them through it on the phone. I talked to parents we have been in constant contact with those who have been struggling, and I like to think that that is the key to getting it done. Whether we have a COVID outbreak as we've had, or just everyday teaching of what we've done, communication and being able to talk to the parents and talk to the students is the key. I mean, in teaching, you have to communicate.
In order to stay connected with my students, what I try to do is ask them questions about things that they're doing other than their schoolwork. So what are they doing for fun? What kinds of activities are they doing to get their mind off of things? And that's really allowed for some great dialogue, some funny pictures that they send, some fun conversations. So just sort of asking about what's happening outside of, are you doing your work?
I work to maintain relationships with my students, and I work to provide them opportunities to maintain relationships with each other. I've used Schoology discussion posts and Flipgrid videos to pose fun questions, such as their favorite snack during distance learning, what songs are on their playlist. We did a virtual show and tell where they had to show one item that represented a healthy way they've been dealing with social distancing, things like that.
And I feel like I really built some incredible relationships, especially with some really quiet kids who just keep their nose to the grindstone and do their best at school every day. They really opened up, and I actually have several pen pals who I have who I communicate with almost daily now. I have several I have to get back to today. So it's been great. It's really been great to just be able to communicate with kids who, a lot of them who are just so quiet. They've really opened up.
Do you have any funny stories to share regarding your distance learning experience?
So I sent my cute little flat Miss Katie to all of my students and told them to tell me about the adventures that they took me on while they were home. That way I could get a little bit of an insight of what they were doing. And then, y'all, I got the email that nobody wants to get. The parent who says, "My child just asked me, why is Miss Katie holding her privates?" You can't unsee it once you see it.
Compare your role as a distance learning teacher with a fictional character.
The movie that comes to mind is Inside Out. I think that I have been every character in that movie multiple times during this time at home and have experienced every single emotion known to man.
I didn't pick a fictional character because I couldn't really think of one that I could compare myself to. But I compare my style with that of Coach Phil Jackson of the Los Angeles Lakers and the Chicago Bulls. And I know, a lot of you guys watching this watched The Last Dance and everything. And, I really admire Phil Jackson as a coach, not just because he won all those championships, just as in his style. He always had high demands for each one of his players. And I think I have high demands for each one of my students.
Elsa. We are into the unknown. I don't ever know what's going on from one day to the next. I'm worried about everything. I never think I'm doing a good enough job. But at the end, I am. I'm getting great positive feedback from families, and I know I'm working my tail off to make sure that my students have a great distance learning experience.
Have to remember to unmute myself. We are back live, and we have our panel with us. So we're excited about some of the questions that came through. And Nate, one thing people want to know is, what did you use your podcast tool?
I used it through a site called Anchor. and I just kind of Googled like free podcasts, and that was the first one that popped up. And at first it was a little weird getting used to, but I just played around with it for a couple hours, and it was very user friendly. And by the end of me doing all the podcasts, I really enjoyed it. And it has a lot of cool different features that you can put on there, like music and transitions and stuff. And you can even you can set it to private, so only your students see the podcast and stuff like that. So I use this site called Anchor.
Great. Thanks for sharing that with us. We love hearing about new tools. I'll also let everybody know that WeVideo does have a podcasting feature that just was released in the last month. So that's another option that we have. And then Katie, we just have to ask this question of you. So what is your plans for Flat Katie for the future?
I don't have any plans for Flat Miss Katie for the future. I think if she's going to get a new pose if I ever make her again.
Sorry, I just played that part over and over again because it made me laugh. It was so good.
That was probably the most embarrassed I've ever been as a teacher when I read that email. I kind of wanted to die.
At least it was an email and not a parent-teacher conference. So sometimes distance learning has its benefits. So one of the questions also is, how did some of you handle your challenges with the internet? Did anybody have any connectivity issue or maybe any connectivity issue with particular students and you approach something differently?
I've got an answer for that, if that's okay.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, I had several students who were having problems with the internet, and one in particular, her parent and I was on the phone, and we discussed alternative lesson, and she said that she was going to be building a chicken coop, which kind of ties to the carpentry with the build, and said could she use that as her lessons. And I said, well, I think that would be great, as long as, we can figure out a way to, take pictures and document it and tell a story of what she's learned at the end. So that worked out really well.
And I like that became an authentic assignment. The student had an interest. That's kind of what they talk about all the time, right? That's it. Interest.
Yeah, I set up what's called a Google Voice account, and I had a few assignments that the students could do, through Google Docs, and I talked them through just uploading the Google Doc and doing it offline, and then I just had them take a picture of it, and some of them sent me, through Google Voice through that number. That way, they didn't have my actual cell phone number; they had the Google Voice number. So I had them do that, and that worked for a few students that had some connectivity issues.
And if you guys need the information on how to create a Google Voice account, that's one of the many, many things that we gave you, but you probably need to know where it lives. So, we can send out that information again. Anybody else want to comment on that? Or I can go to the next question. There's lots of questions coming in. It's kind of fun. All right, our next question is also, this can go to Stephanie or it could go to any other teachers, but we all had a problem with downtime. So what parameters did you create that functioned for your household and for yourself and for your students, so that we didn't feel that pull as a 24-hour teacher? Remember my online experience, that was something that I had to work through myself. So what were your parameters? And anybody else can jump in on that question too.
I think I would be lying if I said that I had it all figured out by the end, because I still, we've learned that the technology piece can be somewhat addicting. And I think that we're just drawn to, when our cell phone dings, we immediately want to go pick it up. So I worked really hard to just designate a space in my house that was just for my schoolwork and my school time, and tried to make sure that I put that down periodically and walked away from it so that it wasn't always in my face. And I also employed the help of my husband and my kids to kind of, cut me off when I had been sitting in front of my computer for a long while. And, just to say, okay, mommy, it's time to get up and do something else. I think that just having my family around to kind of help with that was huge.
I can piggyback onto Stephanie's. It was not something that I feel I ever found a balance to when we were done. A lot of our students were having to do work when parents were home and available. And so I felt I was doing those students a disservice by not being available. So I don't know that I ever really found a true balance to it through those 12, 13 weeks.
I was going to jump in. One thing I did with my students who needed more later in the day help is I started my day later on those days. If I knew I had a student I needed to work with, like at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I started my work day later based on that. I also turned off all notifications on my cell phone, so I wouldn't get dings of work emails or Schoology assignments being turned in and things. And that helped me some, but like everyone else, it was not something I ever 100% figured out the ideal.
Anybody else want to weigh in before we go to the next question?
Yeah, I'm just going to add something real quick. So like when the whole distance learning first started, I'm a very routine oriented person. So that kind of threw everything for a whirlwind. And I just really tried to establish, a routine from, the first couple of weeks was a little messy, but I really tried to establish a routine. Like the other teachers were saying, I tried to make sure that I got up and moved. Like my wife and I would go for a walk during lunchtime. And that was something to look forward to. And then in the afternoon, we would say we're going on another walk. That was also something to look forward to. So just kind of chunking it up a little bit and not sitting in front of a screen for, 8 or 9 hours, because that's just not realistic. And, just being realistic with yourself and establishing routines is something that worked for me.
All right, we thank you guys for sharing that. And that's one of those things that, as Mike was talking about communication to tell your students and your parents when you are available, trying to meet the needs of all of them, but, work in your schedule that maybe you don't work for a couple hours in the middle of the day, because, that's when you've gotten caught up. There's lots of different options, but really making sure that you have that life-work balance is definitely important, because we love our kids so much, and we know each kid needs us the moment that they ask the question, but also sometimes working at the secondary level, realizing that they are not starting as a choice, until the last minutes. And so, preparing them that, you need to look at the work a couple of days ahead of time in order to ask questions before the submission due date. All right, so we're going to go on to Nate, there was one question just for you specifically, as if you ran into any internet issues or access issues with your podcasts. Do you know of that specifically, or?
On my end, I didn't have any issues as far as recording it. I didn't have any students tell me that they had any connectivity issues or anything like that. The way I viewed it, I looked on Schoology. The way I viewed it is you could listen to the podcast directly on Schoology, or you could download it as well. So they had either option, to listen to it on the phone. I had one student that said they listened to it, downloaded on their phone. And I had other students that said they just listened to it through Schoology. They either had the app on their phone or they had it on their Chromebook. But I didn't have anybody report that they had connectivity issues with the podcast specifically.
Great, thanks for sharing. So going into, what you guys learned this year, one of the things we heard is about building relationships with students. Do you guys have any ideas of what you might do as we are getting a new group of students next year to help build relationships? Or is that going to be the hardest part of the job?
I think that's my biggest concern, is that, what we did this last 9 weeks, we tried to review and build a little on what we've learned, but to start from ground zero with no relationship, with no background in the content area, at least in down here in my end, it's a little scary. I'm not saying we can't do it, because I know we can, and we'll figure a way to do it. But I think that's the biggest apprehension I have, that I've got to walk through and get through.
My collaborative teacher and I conducted twice weekly lunch bunch meetings, and it was Zoom games and snacks, and it really built the relationship with the students. There were weeks or days we had 4 or 5 students, and other days we had 14 of our 18. So I think making sure we continue just that interpersonal building through the technology is going to be key. Especially, I've got rising 6-year-olds coming in. So that's going to be a tremendous challenge.
And just to let you know, that's one of those things that we're going to talk about a little bit in the distance learning sessions. And, from my experience, it's, again, my experience is secondary level, but it was really giving them a chance to do surveys and the discussion boards of like introducing yourself and making a Flipgrid video, putting them in small groups at the beginning of the year so that they became like a group of like 4 or 5 kids that were their study group, and if I have a question, I go to them. That may not be appropriate for elementary, but really building the relationships with each other as well as building them with you was something that I found that was really useful in using those first couple weeks of school to focus on how to encourage that first and foremost, and fitting in the content as well, but really making sure that those were solidified for a positive rest of the school year. And Jill, you actually touched on something. Somebody else asked, how did you collaborate virtually, or was anybody in a collaborative pair during this time, and want to speak about their experience?
I know that Mary Ayers and I used just about every form of collaboration. We Zoomed, we texted, we called, we emailed, every form of communication available, we utilized.
And Kristen, you talked about that in your video. Do you want to share any of the ways that you guys work together?
Yeah, I talk to people almost every day, whether it was text, but usually it was a phone call because we were trying to kind of go over all the different things that we were going to be doing. Jennifer Gardner and I planned out sort of what we were going to do and how we were going to teach the biology classes. And so it was really good just to be able to kind of talk things through, like what kind of questions did I have? Like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to get in touch with this student? So it was a lot of phone calls, sometimes FaceTime. And then we also used like our department meetings, which were really great for just kind of seeing the challenges and then working through how do we improve, how do we help the kids, that kind of thing. So some folks didn't have the best internet access, but they were still present in the meetings and they could type in the chat. So we were still connecting. Didn't always get to see each other, but we still could feel their presence in our meetings. So that was really nice, just knowing that people were there and that we were connecting in some way. So I relied a lot on my colleagues. They may not realize it, but they were super helpful to me. And without them, I wouldn't have been able to get my students and myself through this time that we've been kind of apart, but together.
I feel like at the elementary level, being able to put ourselves into planning groups for the weekly activities was a huge part in my not feeling overwhelmed as far as having to plan assignments for every single subject. And I was very blessed to be with an amazing group of teachers from across the county. And, that was one of the things that we have said all along is that regardless of whether we're doing it virtually or in person, that the collaboration piece and that planning piece with our teammates was something that was truly invaluable and something that we want to continue.
And I just think that there are so many different ways that we can collaboratively plan. I know some of our sessions are actually even collaborative groups of people. Like I know the Choice Boards one this afternoon, like they're coming at it from 4 different perspectives. So that's one of those things that I love that we're collaborating and not like we didn't before, but it's so much more hands-on, I think, and intentional necessarily at this point when we've been in distance learning. So, kudos to everybody that is, trying to, get our lessons planned and do the best thing that we can for our students. And so I just thank you for that. And with that, we're going to be ending our panel. And we just thank you guys for the video that you produced and for the time that you spent, and just let you guys know that they made that on Flipgrid and then Gillian put it all together. So like that video was another way that you could actually, have things created by all of your different students and then put them together in a video to share it back out. So we just appreciate you and appreciate your time. And we're going to flip now over to, I'm going to be sharing about Professional Learn and how you actually are going to be able to sign up for your information today. So just thank you. And your colleagues have been very supportive and they asked a lot of great questions today. So we will catch up with you later. I'm going to change now to the other screen. All right, so just to remind everybody how my Clever looks a little different. I got lots of things on it, but we always enter through Clever and it says Professional Learn. They actually keep changing the name on us, so I don't know what the final name will be because they keep changing it. So the first thing I wanted to show you is if you go to this resource area right here, you're going to see that we have resources that link you right to the human resource website, our DL 421 website, and also the tuition reimbursement form. We also made these first 2 are in-house videos and PDFs that Andrea made for you, in case you forget what I'm about to say. And then also there's the Professional Learning where they have insights on their specific ways, again, to search and register for a course, withdraw, if you're in a discussion board, if you want to view your transcript, or if you want to take a survey. So I just wanted to show you that all these helps and supports are here, even afterwards. So I'm going to go over and actually stop sharing for a quick second and jump over into, Wendy Tillett said I could be her. So I'm going to go make myself her, but you can't see all of her information. So I'm hiding that for you while I become her. And then I'll go back in and share my screen. Okay, so now you can see that I am Wendy Tillett, and she doesn't have as many tabs as I do. So if you notice, you first come to the home screen, and this is where we'll put announcements of what you need to know. If you notice here, it's got the YouTube live stream. It has an overview of the sessions that we're offering this summer. So if you want to get a quick glance, we'll also be updating any session changes that happens there. On the side, you'll see that there are recommended trainings and required trainings. And we can designate those based on your school location, your job assignment, and also if it's a subject that you teach. So I just wanted to show you that those are there. If they weren't there and you were looking for a specific course, you can always go and go over here to courses. And after you finish taking a course, there will be a survey to complete. And then over here is where you can do the course search. So I'm going to go ahead and search for some 2020 choice. And you'll see it's going to come up. So if there was a specific name that I was sent of a session that I needed to take, maybe by my specialist, I could just search for it that way. Now, I'm going to just be signing Wendy up for things. So you can see here, if you wanted to go to the full course, you could click there, and then you would need to go over to this session. This gives you basically all of the information that is about the class. If you wanted to see why you're on the required group, you could see that. And then you would go over to the section. And as you can see, there are many different choice sessions. You will be able to have the Zoom link, which is right here, and you can see the date, which is right here. So I'm going to go ahead and sign Wendy up for the choice board session. And if you'll notice, again, the Zoom link is right here. We also put it as the location. And then we also have each of the individual people that will be facilitating. So if you did want to email them a question, you could simply click on their name and email them. Now, in order to register for the session, you need to actually click register. Once I click register, you're going to see that it's going to give me just the information again about the session. You're going to see that you're going to get 1 professional development point. And then I just click next to confirm. So she is not able to take that course, but that does show you how you actually go through the process. Now, let's say that she wanted to withdraw from a course. So this distance learning course that she has here, I can go ahead and if I decided that's not the date that I want to take it at a different date, I can simply click the little arrow button, and then I can either cancel it right now, or I can go ahead and withdraw from the class. And then if you go back to her learning opportunities, you will now see that she only has bloodborne pathogens. You'll also notice that if there are too many people signed up for a class, that we do have a waiting list. And if you were on a waiting list, your name would show here. There's also the transcript tab and then the external credit tab. And then this would be if you were actually teaching a course within Performance Learn, that you would have the information to take attendance and about your courses. So that was how we're going to do it for the summer. I'll also tell you, since we made everything required or recommended, you can actually go straight from this page. So if you wanted to go straight to the distance learning, you can click on that without having to search for it, which is also why we put it there. And then you can click on a section. And then because I just removed Wendy, she can actually join another session. So we're going to put her in secondary, and you can see that she registers. And so then you can see the congratulations, you're in it, and you can go to your course list and see that her session is now here. All right, now we have a short video to finalize our meeting today. And this is going to show you a little bit more information from HR about how to handle the transcripts and also uploading all of those things you've been waiting to upload for the last couple of months. And we put a little black screen in here, and that seems to be longer than necessary as well.
Tan, we have certainly missed you in our buildings and look forward to seeing you at the return of the school year. Today, you have got exciting information that's being shared with you. So many of you have emailed me throughout the school closure and really throughout the past 2 years that have asked me, how can I upload professional development to my ESS transcript? Well, today, you're going to get that information. You're going to learn how to upload external credits. Basically, that means how can I get professional development points added to my transcript? No longer will you need to log into the employee self-serve to be able to check how many professional development points you have. That is all going to be housed for you in our new professional learn management system. You have been asking for this, so here it is. All of the points that you do in-house are going to be tracked, but if there is ever anything that you do outside of Powhatan or maybe that you did do in Powhatan that just wasn't on your transcript, you're able to upload that information and have it approved by Human Resources all through this Professional Learn platform. So today you're going to get the information here in just a minute about how you're going to have a video of how to go ahead and upload that. And once you've viewed the video as well as looked at the document that is coming with it, it's step-by-step directions. Follow that. If you have any questions, please email anyone in Human Resources and we'll be able to answer those questions for you. And if you can start uploading all of those points, I know many of you have been holding on to certificates that you've emailed me about, and I've said, hold on to June 16th. Well, we are here and we're ready to start looking at your transcripts and looking at the certificates that you have and giving you those points. One thing I do want to let you know also is that we have transferred all of your points through the employee self-serve system that were currently housed in ESS for you for the past few years, and that has been transferred to your Professional Learn transcript, so you're able to check and see, are all of my points still there? And they should be. Again, if you see any discrepancies, please feel free to reach out to Human Resources. Take care.
Welcome to Powhatan County's new professional development platform, Professional Learn, a part of the PowerSchool family. Professional Learn can be found on the Clever page. When you log in, you'll be taken to the landing page. There are several items of note here. However, today we are going to explore and learn how to upload external credits. What are external credits, you ask? It could be a college, university transcript, a certificate of attendance for a workshop or a conference you attended. You will start by going to the top of your screen and choosing External Credit Request. On your External Credit Request page, you will choose Create My Credit Upload. You will then be taken to a screen where you will fill out the information regarding your activity. For example, I have put in a title. There was no course number because this example was a conference done through the Math Science Center. For my example, I will then choose the date. Notice you can use the pop-out calendar to choose the date of the activity. Or you can type right into the text box using your keyboard. Notice I'm placing a start date and an end date for my activity. I will then scroll down and fill in the number of points. This was an all-day conference, so I'm going to put in 8 points because I spent 8 hours there. And then I'm going to choose the category. These are licensure categories. This was a professional development for this example. I will then fill in the description. I can simply copy and paste it from the website for the conference that I attended. One of the last things you need to do is scroll down and click on Attach File. This file will be your certificate of attendance, or if you were doing a course that you took at a university, it would be your transcript. Once you've uploaded your certificate or transcript, you're going to click Submit Credit for Approval, found in the bottom left-hand corner. You will get a pop-up that will allow you to type any additional notes, but I don't think at this point I need to, so I'm going to click Submit. You will then be taken to a page where you can review what you have entered. You can scroll down to view the entire form, and then click Close. Once you click Close, you can see that you have logged one external credit for review. You'll notice there's an hourglass next to your external credit. This means it's waiting for approval. Note, Human Resources will be reviewing and approving activities each Friday. You can also check this area for any approved or archived external credits. Once it's been approved, it will show up on your transcript, which is a list of your professional activities. If you have any questions regarding this process, please call or contact the Human Resources Department. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you to everybody, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. We will be having sessions in this afternoon part. And just to remind you, the requirements are that you take one distance learning, one SEL, you complete bloodborne pathogens, and you take one choice session. So you'll just need to sign up for those. And we have those people that are presenting today should be sending you an email if you've been able to sign up. If you have any issues with getting on to Performance Learn today, Andrea Dorsey will be on standby to send out the Zoom links for the specific sessions that are happening today, just in case there's any log-on issues. So we thank you for attending. We're glad that we are about to kick off this great summer PD. And we again want to just thank our panelists and everybody else. And that will be the end of our day. So have a great day. Bye, everyone.